Hey y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and this is a very special bonus episode where we're going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and I'm joined by Megan from Vigilante Vibes. How you doing, Megan?
Great, so happy to be here.
Awesome. So Daredevil Born Again Season 2, it was kind of a more structured version than I think the Season 1 was, because there was some cutting and putting together for that one. What was your immediate reaction for Season 2 when you finished up the finale?
I'd say that it really upped the ante a lot, and I'd say it's a lot more comic accurate. And I think the actors truly understood the characters a lot more, which isn't to say they didn't before, but I think they have a firmer grasp on who they are.
Yeah. When you talk about comic book accuracy, you know more about comic books than I do, and many people do. Make sure you guys are checking out everything from Vigilante Vibes, some really cool comic book content there. Is there anything particular pulled from the comic books that you appreciate that they're grabbing from?
Um, the one thing I do appreciate that it's more of a theory than anything is that we're going into Devil on Cell Block D, which is
Mhm.
when in the comics, Matt Murdock is in jail. The world, he's already told everyone that he is Daredevil, or Fisk did. I can't remember which. But while he's in jail, Iron Fist is donning the red suit to sway public opinion. So people are like, oh, that can't be him. It's someone else, which is what I think is going to happen in this season. Because if you'll remember, when Matt Murdock was arrested, they said, you're arrested for
Yeah.
these crimes. And he said, oh, Daredevil's crimes. And I think that was very telling for me.
Very lawyer move, right? To make sure that it's the exact terms and stuff like that, just so he can wiggle his way out of there. To me, it reminds me of how he wears the sweater that I am Daredevil kind of thing. Like he'll eventually make a joke out of it. Like, I said that to mess up Fisk, and can eventually make a meme of himself in this current New York. Be fun.
It's true. And with
One of
Fisk
my
gone,
Yeah,
everyone says that, like, oh, well, because people have been arguing with me all day about this. Like, just
of course they
let me
have, of
let me
course.
cook, guys. My gosh. They're like, well, everyone already saw it, and now he's gonna have to go tell him he lied. What's gonna happen? Fisk is frolicking on a beach.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting part though. Is his little proof that he's Daredevil, I thought was clever in the moment. But then you're like, yeah, that's hard to wiggle out of, though. That is kind of tough because he did just show that really cool move. Can you think of a way that he could get out of that?
I mean, he could just say he's very well balanced. It could be anything.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be one of those things that just aren't brought up again because
Okay. Yeah.
anyone could do that move. It's just really, really impressive. I'm not saying I could, but I feel like if you gave me a few years, maybe I could.
Yeah. Just practice. Maybe even like bring up like, oh yeah, my boxing dad showed me how to train a lot or something like that, so he can bring it back to his dad or something like that. Would be
Right.
fun to do.
Exactly.
One of my favorite additions to Born Again is BB. And I think that we're now going to see her take center stage, really follow after her uncle. How do you feel like they handled that character in the show, especially with her alter ego?
I truly thought BB was going to die. I thought,
Yeah,
how
same.
poetic would it be if she died fighting the same battle her uncle died fighting? But once they brought it to her joining the newspaper again, well, not again,
Mhm.
joining the newspaper that her uncle worked at, it showed that she won the battle that killed her uncle. And I think we're going to see
Yeah.
her in the Ben Urich role, but even bigger and better because she has a better understanding and a better connectivity with her audience than Ben Urich ever did because he didn't care who read his stuff. He didn't care what audience he had. He cared about the content, and she actually cares about the content and connecting with the audience.
Yeah, and I think she also sees that it's the fourth state, right? Like they can use it to wield and more importantly check power. And that's so vital in the Marvel universe. And I think it's something that maybe we'll see tied to the wider MCU. I would love to see, we talked about this before. Peter Parker, pick up a camera, bro. I want to see you taking some pictures. And so maybe this could get to like a J. Jonah Jameson little tie-in. There's all kinds of really cool, in-world media inside of Marvel. So it'd be cool for them to start bringing that in. Uh, with her being part of the newspaper, what do you think her next big scoop's gonna be? Who's she going after next?
Oh, I think it's Spider-Man. I think
Mhm.
it's Spider-Man because we've already seen J. Jonah Jameson. He's doing his own thing as BB
Yeah.
was. And with Tom Holland, he has no one. But I think he's going to get into the paper. Hopefully, I hope. So, who works at the paper already? BB, who is an investigator in her own right. So she sees Parker, she takes a liking to Parker, and then she realizes something is not right here, and I think that's gonna be it.
Oh my god, what a good confidant too. She already knows so much of the inside world. That would be a really good person
She's
to share those secrets
basically
with.
a Claire at this point because she does
Mhm.
know too many people in this
Yeah.
villainous and hero world.
Yeah. God, yeah, that'd be really cool for her to dig into that world. I hope they don't abandon her. I hope that she gets accepted into the wider MCU. I think that Kevin Feige and the upper ups at Marvel don't really know how to fully adopt the Netflix universe. They just want to cherry pick things. And
Mhm.
I think at this point, this was a really good staging ground for like, hey, there could be a street level Marvel. But while I'm watching this, I gotta say, the entire time, I'm like, where is Spider Man? Where is New Avengers? There are people attacking the mayor, and like they don't necessarily have to get involved and try to stop the mayor himself, but they would want to make sure nobody got hurt. So, do you think there's a way to justify that in the wider MCU?
I don't think it'll ever be justified, to be honest with
Okay.
you. I think they're always gonna try to keep ground level and superheroes somewhat separate, which I do agree with. I do think there should be little pockets for each sector of Marvel, like the magic side, the ground level side, because they have their own
Okay.
stories. If we intermix them, they're like, oh, well, Captain America just come in and take out all of Daredevil's villains. And it's like, he
Yeah.
could, but you're kind of just belittling the whole story there.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Like that's the logistics of it. That's like the true problem that you have. I
Yeah.
just wonder if they will bother. I don't know. I would love to see like in the beginning, the very first season of Daredevil in Netflix, they referenced Thor and Hulk and the battle for New York. And then in the first like couple episodes of this season, they even mentioned Spider-Man. And so it would have been nice for there just to be a little, wink to the camera essentially saying that like, oh, the new Avengers are, in Russia right now dealing with this one problem. Like, just give us something so that we know you acknowledge everybody around you. Or even the fact that like we had, I believe it's Mr. Charles or Mr. Charlie. God, I can't move him. Get that right.
Charles.
Matthew Lillard. Thank you. Um, like referencing the fact that like, yeah, we got a new team we're working on with the Thunderbolts, becoming the new Avengers and stuff. I just like those little connections, and I think it helps make the world feel more alive.
I agree. And I do think there's something to it because before, I think their biggest draw to connecting what these things was the incident, the Battle of New York. They couldn't not say anything about that. Jessica Jones said something about it, Daredevil, all of them.
Yeah,
But now I think our best bridge to putting them, just showing that they're in the same world would be Spider-Man. He was not a street level hero until the next movie in the MCU. Now he's street level, and we already have that connection because he is a really good lawyer.
yeah. There is something about Spider-Man where he's just kind of like he fits anywhere you want him. Fantastic
Yeah.
Four, sure, he'll join the team for a bit. Hey, you know what? The X-Men need help. It's Spidey. Yeah, mutate versus mutant. I love that. One of the characters that I did not think I'd ever root for, especially after our boy Foggy, was Bullseye. But Poindexter, towards the end there, I started kind of rooting for the guy. What are we gonna get out of him? What can we see?
I have to be honest, I've been rooting him for him since the beginning. He is so fine.
Oh
He is
wow,
so everything to me.
I love
But
it.
I
He's
think
got long hair in the interviews, by the way. I'm like, that's a good look for you, bro.
I know, I know. God bless his mother for making him. I think what's going on with Bullseye and Mr. Charles is a very, very good sign that Marvel is understanding what to do with villains because at one point they were one and done. We didn't see him again, which was a
Yeah,
trash way to go about it, but it works for some, but not all. But ground level villains, they are always there. They're always looming in the background. Spider-Man doesn't defeat Rhino once and that's it. And I think they're showing that they have more stories to tell, that we're going to see them again and that they don't have to be the big bad of next season. We can take a break and it's fine. With Charles and Bullseye, I believe in the comics, Mr. Charles, a very, very small character, if he is in fact called Mr. Charles, was a Roxxon employee, like really high up at Roxxon.
oh, wow. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's tasty, okay.
So I think
I'm
Bullseye
gonna
is
have to
just
get
going to
into
be
this.
his right hand man because Bullseye can't do his own thing. He has to work for someone else. In the
Yeah,
comics, he is so jealous of Elektra because she's now Kingpin's right hand woman that he kills her. So,
mhm.
and we see him having to do something for Daredevil, having to do something for someone. So I think that fits perfectly with Mr. Charles.
I really like that sort of weakness or dependency of him because there are people out there who compare him to Hawkeye, and it's like, well, but Hawkeye, especially in the MCU, is so well defined as a family man who's a hero for a very specific cause. And just because they both can aim good doesn't make them the same character, you know?
Yeah, I did see that trend of Hawkeye could beat Bullseye. I just wanna say right now, no, he couldn't. Love
Yeah,
Hawkeye. No, he couldn't. Not a
yeah.
snowflake's chance.
Well, I mean, just even if we were to go down to the simple personality stuff, like the restraint that Hawkeye has, it's gonna make it harder for him to do anything. And I think people forget that a lot of times, like, oh, it's Batman, he won't hurt anybody. It's like, yeah, but that's also a key part for all superheroes is that restraint, and that's what makes them the superhero, and not just the vigilante that's hurting people out there. The Punisher,
Exactly.
basically.
Bullseye has no limit. He's gonna do what he needs to be done if someone he respects tells him to do it. So,
Yeah.
Kingpin, he would have taken out all of them. Mr. Charles seems scarier than Kingpin, so I want everyone to keep that in mind. There's something about that dude that's terrifying.
Matthew does such a good job portraying him.
And now
We
he's
have a
gonna
lot
be
of
in
really
the
good acting.
DCU.
That, like, literally, I know. I just saw
I
that too.
know.
Yeah, gonna be in Superman. God, who? I don't even want to keep
Hopefully
speculating, but
Plastic Man, that's all I'm saying. You've heard it here first.
oh my god, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, just the wackiest dude. Let him go full like Shaggy with it again. That would be so
Shaggy
fun.
at 100%, yes.
Looking at some of the more supporting cast before we dive into our main characters here, Heather donning the Muse's mask. I know there is a bit of a comic book context for that. Can you share that a little bit for us?
Absolutely, I can. I actually reviewed this whole run for, Nerd Initiative a year ago. So, by Erica Schultz, it's called Daredevil Unleashed Red Band.
Hmm.
It's Elektra is the Daredevil. Basically, Muse is not alive, but kind of. He's a ghost. He is residing in hell, as Muse should. And he's able to come up and possess different people. That's how he gets to continue his art, continue doing what he wants. So he possesses a girl who was actually an artist, and she becomes the Lady Muse, working exactly what he tells her to do. She tries to go after Daredevil, she goes after whoever he wants. So it's not that it's passing the mantle, but it's more that she's possessed by him. Heather's just nuts. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they're kind of tying those two together because Heather being a therapist, like there's a layer of like, well, if she's going to become a bad person, it should be through that a Harley Quinn-esque problem, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's how they're making her Lady Muse, which I'm totally down for, just because the Muse like silhouette, like the way that character looks, and the very simple thing of like using blood to paint with, like don't just burn that villain up. Like again, we need the lokification, like make everything Loki, bring it back, you know?
Yes, I want it to be weird, and Muse is that weird. Like, he's not a big
Yeah.
presence in the comics. I think he has like 27 pages he's on,
Hmm.
maybe. And it's just he's just such a dark character, which I feel like a lot of franchises are leaning against from to make it more family friendly, but like
Yeah.
they leaned into this guy. But in the comics, he is much different. He does have superpowers. He has super strength. He has super agility, but they made him very grounded. And I think they did a really excellent job of him. Now with Lady Muse, she's always just been a person who was possessed, who's just off her rocker because of Muse. So I'm interested to see where they go with this. I think it's going to end up with Heather doing her comic accurate ending, taking herself out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where I think it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Born Again willing to take those chances with storytelling and take the darker turns. So I appreciate that they're giving that chance. With Muse, I believe he has the ability to nullify senses. Is that correct? Okay, so
I
maybe we'll
believe so.
get a version of that somehow in the future. That'd be kind of nice to see how Matt does in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, what she really could do is just put him in a situation that takes out his senses. Like in the Devil on Cell Block D, it's a very annoying thing to say.
Yeah,
His senses are not working correctly in prison because of the cinder block walls, the constant echo yelling. So really, she would have to just get him there.
yeah, yeah, overloaded. Looking at okay, let's get this. Let's do some speculating. We've already been doing a lot of it. Let's do some more.
Yeah,
We all watched the hell out of that Spider-Man trailer. I mean, frame by frame. And
frame by frame.
clearly, a lot of people are thinking there's some missing people in there. And Spider-Man was in prison for a scene. Do you feel like this is our chance to finally combine the two? I mean, that's his lawyer. Is Spider-Man going in to save Matt?
No. No, I don't think so. I
No. Okay.
What I do think is that it very well could be Iron Fist in the suit. Like, if we wanna get technical, but Matt's in prison. Matt's in jail. He's and busting him out makes no sense because spoiler alert, I think, we've already seen pictures from season 3 where he's wearing the orange jumpsuit.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense, and also Spider-Man's not a villain. Why is he gonna go bust
Yeah.
Daredevil out when he's never met him? He just knows his lawyer. So
Mhm.
he sees on TV, "Oh, my lawyer is Daredevil." That's gonna be a huge part of the movie that I don't think Marvel's quite ready to connect yet.
Yeah. My the way I can make logic of it is somehow Spider-Man learns that the Hand is going in to assassinate Daredevil. And so he's there to try to stop that. And then maybe there's kind of a but you're right. We've seen from the leaks that, thank you, Coulter, for sharing that. But season 3 is so starting off in that prison. So yeah, it's just some speculation and how much I would love to see those two paired up on the top of a corner of a building. That would be my dream. So make that happen, Marvel, please.
I do think there will be a little connectivity between the season 3 and Spider-Man because I think the Hand will be who the defenders have to go after in season 3 because they said they're
Okay.
pulling away from Kingpin, and I've had this theory since Vanessa died. In the comics, she gets revived when she dies by the Hand. So
Mhm.
because Wilson Fisk is about to take over the Hand, and to prove that he's strong enough, he has to fight her. They didn't there was no beautiful
Wow.
reunion. It was like, she's trying to kill you. So, I kinda think that's where we're going with it because why else would Kingpin be in the next season? Why is the Hand popping up randomly? And why does Spider-Man know the Hand? For a secretive society, you guys are really bad at this.
Oh my god. Yeah. I know. And I think the last time we saw them, Elektra was in charge of them, wasn't she, in season 2
Mhm.
of the original Dare
Yeah, she was
So,
like a
is
black
Elektra coming
spy.
back? I'd love that. Yeah.
Exactly. Man, I want her back so bad. She's so much better than Karen. So much.
I do like Karen a lot, I will
I
say,
know.
but yeah.
I'm always alone in this, and I get it. It's fine.
But Karen's clearly trying to fill the Elektra role in this
Yeah.
season specifically where she's, like, getting tougher, and it's like, you don't need to be that person. We have a lot of that person. We need somebody who keeps people grounded, not somebody punching cops as well. That doesn't help anything.
Yeah, Matt didn't have to make sure you're calm and calm everyone else while fighting this war. He didn't have to say,
Right.
"Is my unhinged girlfriend have someone hostage today?" Like, that wasn't really
Yeah.
fair.
Is she gonna kill Bullseye? Which, I mean, probably should have. One of the characters I thought was being hinted to was the Rose, which is Kingpin's son, I believe. And I thought for sure Daniel was heading down that path. I thought for sure they're gonna make him the Rose. But in that final episode, we had a couple different shots that stood on the Rose for a while there, like outside of the bar there. And so I was wondering, do you see the Rose as an option to replace Kingpin? Because the problem with Kingpin is Vincent D'Onofrio came out and said, like, he can't be on any movies. He can only do the show because of, like, how the licensing works. So could the Rose be a substitute for that?
I think if they bring in a significant other that already has a son, that would make the most sense. Like, this is a perfect time to bring in Typhoid Mary.
Mm,
They're still married in the comics currently, and she was the first woman of New York when he was mayor, and then he realized things got really bad, so we should go, and then they headed to a beach, which I think is very significant since that's where we saw him last night. So I
yeah.
think if she comes out and says, "Oh, this is my teenage son. He's just as nuts as I am," I think we got something there. But I also thought Daniel was going there, especially when Buck we were supposed to believe it, right? Because Buck is the
Mhm.
one that said he was the heir. So they
Yeah, Buck was
bamboozled
laying
us.
down some hints. Yeah, and I think they kinda wasted Buck in the end of this season, with the whole, like, "Oh, just shot in the stomach." Like, clearly, he didn't die necessarily, but also I wanted a better finale for Buck in this season, something that really showed a transition of some sort of closure for his character.
It was definitely used just to show that Heather is unhinged because she's
Yeah.
taking care of him. She goes to punch that one guy in the throat, and this was Heather's psychotic debut, and they handled that well. But I don't see Buck sitting on the floor in fetal position shivering. Wesley wouldn't. Just saying.
Wesley, oh, I loved Wesley. Yeah,
I did
that's a great point.
too, man.
Yeah. And then let's focus in on, I think, on our main 2 characters here with Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio playing Matt, and Wilson. I mean, the season 1, they had that scene where they were sitting in the diner talking to each other, and you could just tell, like, that's what the entire It's the reason I keep tuning in is because of the two of these, and it's gonna be hard to watch the show if Wilson's not back. And then when we had the court scene, and God, I love these characters so much, the way they interact with each other, because I think there is some actual friendship there in a weird way, or at least a very deep understanding between the two characters of who each other are. Because the whole time when Wilson is on the stage, he's kind of wondering if Matt's gonna spill the beans, and he's kind of challenging him a little bit, but then Matt's kind of pushing back and challenging each other, all without saying a word about that. And then finally, when Matt reveals it, you see Fisk's reaction, like, okay, what's your play here? And then when he does the bouncing off the walls with the baton, you're like, oh, okay, nice move. It's just these subtle little things between these two characters. I just adore their conversations.
I think it's not friendship, but there's a little codependency on Kingpin's side because he's lost everyone. Everyone he's cared about, like
Okay,
Wesley,
yeah.
Vanessa, everyone around him is brand new. But the person who is a constant is unfortunately Matt. But I think there's also a very mutual respect because both of them can understand each other's mindset and why they're doing what they do. And it's not because they're just bad people or just righteous people. It's because they think they're doing the right thing. So I think there is that kind of mutual respect.
Can you imagine, or has it happened in the comic books where the two work together ever?
Yeah, and Devil and Cell Block D, yeah. And then a
Of
few other
course.
times they had to yeah, right. A few other times they
I
had to,
guess what
like
I'm buying after this, by the way.
mhm, absolutely, it's fantastic work. But there's a lot of times where they were, like, kinda had to depend on each other for something, but they made it clear, like, "Just so you know, I hate you, but let's do this."
Yeah, there is kind of this thing where they both care for New York so much, and they're just going at it the wrong way. Frankly, both of them. I mean, if we're, I'm sure Matt could probably do more help in the courtroom, but yeah, it's uh, it's a very fun relationship, and just watching their performances is something else. Um, Vincent D'Onofrio, I think over the years has really elevated Kingpin from what he was back in the old Netflix days. I think now he feels a little bit more comic booky. He feels a little more. I thought the way they had like the opera music playing when he entered the courtroom in this show in this season, I thought like perfect imagery for what Kingpin is.
That was the exact thing I posted on Threads. I was like, "I have never felt more of a connection to comic book Kingpin than that scene of his back walking into the courtroom," because that was 100% Kingpin, and it was just so good. And they both put so much into their roles. Last night, I heard Kingpin's voice break, and it was Vincent talking for a slight second. I was like, "Oh, this is a master class at acting. He's completely lost in the role."
Yeah, when you hear him in interviews too, you're like, he's just such a sweet guy. He's just a nice guy. To
I
to see
met
him in
him
that role
last
is so funny.
year, and he's so
Oh
nice.
wow,
He's so different than Kingpin. You don't
Wow.
really like you're like, "Who's the this ain't the same guy. Ain't no way."
yeah.
That's
Thomas, are you with
awesome.
us? How are you doing, man?
Good, good. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you good now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness. Jeez. Yeah. Technology and babies, right? Yeah. I love what you guys were saying too about Buck. Also, it was changed. So from Buck to Daniel, because I wanted Daniel to survive and see him in future seasons. So apparently they did shoot it where he was alive at the end, but when they were editing it, it just didn't feel right. So they ended up like killing him in post. Basically, that gunshot was CGI.
No way.
I thought his
Yeah,
body did the flop thing when it hit.
also CGI.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
know, it's
I
just
already watched it
crazy.
twice. I'll
So
watch it a third time. I have to see that. That's crazy.
yeah, there's another moment too where I caught in the finale where it looks really CGI to me, and I don't know if it's confirmed, but it might have been where when they're like all fighting the guards, Karen beats up this guard when she's in her like normal clothes, and then she like whips this gun around and hit this guy in the face. I'm pretty sure that's CGI also.
Okay.
Maybe I just
CGI
suck at
budget's real
finding
low.
CGI. Like you when She-Hulk came out and everyone was like, "CGI is terrible." I was like, "Oh shoot, all right." Thought it was okay.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
don't mind She-Hulk CGI at all. What I
I
didn't
don't
like was
either.
the warehouse blowing up this season. Was like some Arrowverse level CGI. It was pretty rough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it worked though. All the fight scenes, I think this
Yeah.
season really worked. They're really good. You guys were talking about Vincent D'Onofrio. And I mean, this was probably the best. I mean, this is the most I liked him all season. where he just was a complete animal. And then the shield comes down and you can totally, which I think speaks a lot to the courtroom thing when they're talking about the mask coming off. His mask fully comes off and he just starts destroying people, which looks super good. Which also makes me think, what did you guys think about this hallway fight scene as opposed to a lot of the other ones we've seen in previous Daredevil seasons?
I think it's apples and oranges because usually in hallway scenes, we get just Daredevil doing whatever he can to get through the hallway. In this one, it was the city of New York rising, all doing their own hallway scene, which I thought was very, very powerful.
I think it was a really good mirror or a really good really good evolution from the first episode when we saw that, that Kingpin kind of set himself up as a system surrounded by lackeys, and Daredevil and Karen felt like they were alone against the world. Like they did have people out there, informants, but they were kind of alone fighting against the power. And then by the end of this, we saw that Daredevil had the city backing him. He had additional allies, and Kingpin lost everything. And so we saw how like the tables had turned. And also, I was just getting the Darth Vader Rogue One vibe out of Kingpin, where people were so afraid that they were in that hallway with him and just trying to escape. It was great.
Dug him up and like threw the guy and broke his back against the wall. I was like, oh, y'all need to get out of there. I'm stressed for you. Get out of there.
Yeah. That was like Rorschach in the prison where it's like, I'm not, you're not trapped in, or I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. And yeah, I was like afraid for everybody. I was like, oh, get the F out. You guys are done. So yeah, it's funny. Like, so yeah, thanks for letting me join a little bit late. And I don't know. I actually came in probably thinking I would be one of the more, I guess, pessimistic ones in this, where I really liked it, but I didn't like overly love it like I think a lot of people did. But I think that scene, especially how they mirrored it, was really awesome. Not just because of the fighting, but also them both emerging from like different people that they had to fight. Again, Fisk with the city, and then Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and White Tiger taking out like the anti-vigilante task force. So it was a really cool mirror. And I don't think that was in the original script. So I think that was a great addition they added there.
I still have a problem with White Tiger being so young. I really wish they had aged her up somehow or whatever. Because I'm still like, come on, guys. You wouldn't say like, hey, kid, come and fight with us. I don't know. I have a problem with it myself.
She's generally young in the comics as well. And she's very ground level. She hangs out with Elektra a lot. But I think she looks a lot younger in the show than she is in the comics. In the comics, she's got to be like 17, 18. And here she's like 16.
Yeah. Okay. Also, what's crazy about that is this is the same universe where Miss Marvel exists. You know what I mean? And she's, and she's like, granted, the villains, like the DODC and the anti-vigilante task force seem like they're on completely different levels, in terms of violence, in terms of like how far they'll go. Like DODC still seems like they follow some type of rules and regulations, where anti-vigilante task force as this episode shows, we're just acting with complete impunity, I think is the word, just complete like power. And as long as Fizz said go ahead, they were able to do it. So I think for me overall though, like, I don't know if you guys talked about this, but my favorite thing out of this entire finale was the courtroom scene. I know that's like maybe a weird take, but I think that was the most powerful thing for me. It was the most, I feel like Charlie Cox got to like really act, I don't know, or just like go for it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think that one, what's that?
I think both of them really got to show off their acting skills in that scene. Yeah.
And I think that for me was like the pinnacle of the episode. And then everything else was cool. It was awesome. We needed a fight scene, but it ultimately, for me, just kind of felt a little flat.
I think the court scenes are so integral to who Daredevil is as a character that if you want a perfect explanation of who he is as a character, that's the scene you show. He's a really good lawyer, but he also puts himself in the way. Granted, this time telling the world he's Daredevil, or going toe-to-toe with Kingpin, with people watching, and Kingpin absolutely losing it in front of the world, which is also integral to his character as well, who was so quiet and stayed in the shadows for so long, but then did not care who knew what about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And it was great. It was like this moment too where Matt really gets to be selfless, right? Where it's like, how far will he go to bring peace to the city? And the only other option, not only saving Karen, is to expose himself not like that, but like expose himself and then,
Season 3.
take one, I guess, for the team. And ultimately, like, yeah, his life will never be the same again. Although, I don't think Doctor Strange will pull another mind wipe
I was
for
waiting for
him.
it, bro. I was waiting for you to say Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I was like, okay, never mind. It's happened once before, but I don't think that's going to
Yeah.
happen again.
I
And
doubt it.
yeah, so I think that was just a really cool scene. Plus, watching with my wife, who is an attorney, she was like, "Did you get it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got it," like at a general level. But she kind of explained a little bit more, which is like basically the rules for how that court was set up were not in void, or I guess void at that point, because there was criminal activity in order to set up that law, and it set up that initial, yeah, I guess, yeah, what's the rule, like regulation that they had going on. So
Mhm.
because the basis for how it was set up was illegal, the court had no legal standing to rule on that case. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool way to look at it. So it just kind of gave me a little bit more, behind the scenes. And so she appreciated that scene, and it made me appreciate that scene even more.
Yeah. One
Wow.
thing that Megan brought up, I thought it's a really good point, and we're gonna tap Christina's mind on this as well, so hopefully you asked her, is when Matt's getting arrested and you want to clarify that it was Daredevil's charges, did she have anything to say about
Mm.
that?
Um, yeah, I didn't ask her about that. I mean, she kind of popped in and out just to watch the
Oh,
courtroom
okay.
scene, but um, I think that's going to be interesting. I think that they could play there, because the other thing that happened in the other courtroom scene is that they established that there's a difference between a vigilante and a hero, and that
Mhm.
not all vigilantes are heroes, right? And I think that was the thing that Matt was really driving home with Kingpin, is that you said I'm a hero, right? Like, I took a bullet for you. I am a hero, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then there's also the idea of like, what is a vigilante? Is it someone who hides behind a mask? Or is it somebody who is just fighting the system? Which is how they kind of brought Karen into the fold, with also what was with Heather, right? She's like, well, does she count as a vigilante because she doesn't have a mask? And Heather was basically saying yes by proxy. So I think they establish a lot of different things there. And I think you're right, Megan. I think it's going to come into play that he is a different person as Daredevil than he is as Matt Murdock. And so we might get that whole yeah, what is it, Devil in Cell Block D, where he gets to wear his mask. Because also I was wondering, I'm like, why do they let him wear his glasses in prison? And I know that's a silly thing, but really, like, you're not normally able to like wear your own personal things. And it was such like a personal thing. So for me, it felt like they're really establishing Matt Murdock is different than Daredevil. So Daredevil should be charged for the crimes, not Matt Murdock.
I asked the same question when we made an episode about that run. I was like, first of all, why does he have glasses? People can't have shoelaces in there and he can have glasses.
Right, right.
So I just want to say that's not stupid. It made sense.
Okay. Yeah. It was just something like I noticed, and I think it just kind of adds evidence to what you're adds evidence, but I think
Ah,
it does to what you're saying, because I think they really were driving home, which will carry over to season 3, that, Matt Murdock isn't necessarily the same person as Daredevil. So Daredevil should be charged for the crimes, not Matt Murdock. And if there is basis for why Daredevil had to do what he was doing, especially in uncommon times, I think there is a way that they can kind of let Daredevil off the hook come next season. Or we already saw in the trailer to Spider-Man, maybe he just gets broken out.
Fingers crossed, baby. Megan
Yeah.
disagrees, but I fingers crossed on my
I
part.
don't think I don't think it's gonna happen. No. There's no way.
Okay. Okay.
It's okay, guys. We'll find out in 2 months.
We'll find out
I'm
very
so
soon. I know.
close.
It'd be
I
awesome.
know, I'm so excited. One of God, we have Supergirl coming up too. Anyways, so
Oh
excited
my
for
god, we
things.
do. I'm stressed.
I know.
So one thing I loved about this season in particular is because it really made, I hate this term, it gets used a lot, but it's so accurate. New York a character, it's totally a character in this show, and we got a little bit of it in the Spider-Man movies, and we got a lot of it in the first Avengers movie. But I think it's been a while since New York's been a character. While in the comic books, it has always been a character. Like I can't think of Fantastic Four without the Baxter Building and just being in New York and different things like that. So I felt like this really kind of brought back New York as an identity, as a part of these characters, and that's how you establish the street level heroes going forward. This feels like a New York that is the home to heroes now. When before I felt like, oh yeah, I forgot that Doctor Strange is in this corner over here. This person, no, this feels like a living New York that's part of the Marvel world now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think what really helps with that is the BB footage, them going around and actually
Okay.
getting the people. Plus, early on in the season, which to me this was one of my favorite episodes, is where they break all the people who are arrested from the cages, and Jack
hmm
DeCane's there. You really get to see like regular people were getting rounded up, and you're right about that. I think that's something that the MCU needs to do more of. Is like, how does this affect normal people's lives, so we can get the scale right? Like something Age of Ultron does really good is like you see them saving all the people of Sokovia. Like it's just as important for them to get them off the floating island as it is for them to stop it from like destroying the whole earth. So I do love that. But the one downside when I was thinking about the finale last night, and they kind of, and it really had to pay off a big setup from the end of season one, was that this is a city of heroes. There's a ton of heroes. There's a ton of
Yeah.
vigilantes, right? Like, so for me, I was a little disappointed that we didn't get like a few more heroes. And I know it's asking a lot, but it's like we
hmm
do know that Spider-Man's there. We do know that Doctor Strange is there. We do know, like give me even C-list villains. Like speaking of She-Hulk, I was thinking about it. I was like, She-Hulk had more C-list and D-list characters than Daredevil did in a storyline that was about heroes and vigilantes in New York. And I'm like, man, I just kind of wish they threw in a few more other characters, and like I like the reveal of Luke Cage, but I don't know, just kind of hoping there would be like a few more random heroes that would have popped up in the mob.
I think something to keep in mind is that with Daredevil, that's something that's been a constant in every single season, even the Netflix one, is that he has only taken his time to save Hell's Kitchen. This is him dipping his
Yeah,
toe in saving New York as a whole. So I think it was actually smart not to bring in these bigger characters because it shows that Daredevil is willing to go that distance for the entire city, not just his tiny place. So
yeah.
he's a hero to that as well, and he doesn't need backup from the new Avengers or Thunderbolts or whatever they go by these days. So I think it made sense, but I think also what the biggest problem was that we were all saying it's gonna go by Devil's Reign. We are gonna get Moon Knight, we're gonna get everyone fighting the Kingpin, fighting the task force. All of these characters are gonna come together. We're gonna end with Mayor Luke Cage and Daniel Cage's Captain America. We thought the biggest things ever, and then it didn't pan out that way. So I think in the back of our minds, we're like, okay, well, I feel gypped because we're all like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
The Mephisto problem all over again. We always want Mephisto and everything. He's gonna show up in
yeah,
WandaVision, I promise. Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's a really great point there. I think, gosh, I'm not disappointed by this, but yeah, the idea that it's not referenced in the wider world is an issue. But I think that going forward, it's a little bit easier because they kind of have set this world up to be more accepting of the wider MCU. What I mean by that, of course, is that like Matt going to prison and having his identity revealed. I can't wait for that to play a part somewhere in the future, and it doesn't necessarily need to be brought up as like, oh, we got to go save Matt, but it does. Oh, you know what? They already threw a hero in prison one time, or something like that. Kingpin being on a beach, the new mayor we know is giving a key to Spider-Man in the trailer, which is his assistant in the season. So there are these little connected tissues that I think will kind of slowly bring it in. It's just that they're taking their time with it, and I'm fine with that as long as we do feel that connectivity coming.
I think it
yeah.
will, especially with Mayor Luke Cage, which this might be a Devil's Reign situation. I don't know, but it's definitely happening this time because I think
Mhm.
Sheila is interim mayor. I don't think she's actual mayor because that's not really how it
Yeah,
works. So we
Mhm.
see her in Spider-Man, so this has to happen right before Spider-Man. And with Luke Cage being the mayor, if it happens, then I think that will also connect everything because we see the mayor with Spider-Man. There's other characters there. All we need is a new Avengers press release where they're being introduced by Luke Cage.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, how many people were so stoked to see Avengers Tower? Like we all
oh
Yeah.
probably
yeah,
were, like, yeah, it was the first time you're like, yes, okay, they're finally doing it. They show, we know that they're a part of this world. I'm trying to think if like season one really established anything. Like, I guess Miss Marvel's dad, another Miss Marvel connection, but like, yeah, Avengers Tower. Oh man, that was so cool.
Yeah.
one of the
And
things
we
that I
got
wanted to
the
bring up.
call with Mr. Charles to I'll never know her name. The
Oh
lady with
yeah, yeah,
Julie
I don't
yeah.
know
Chef.
her
This
name.
is how I just have to remember. Yeah,
We all know who I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
one of the things I forgot, I was distracted. I forgot about. In an interview with Vincent D'Onofrio, he had mentioned that and Matthew Lillard, they had tried to purposely expand beyond New York in this season, and that's why when like Mr. Charles is getting the call, they make sure to show the Capitol building behind him in Washington. There's a few things like we're hearing a lot from Albany this time, not necessarily just staying in the city. So they are like gradually expanding us beyond New York too. So these characters we could expect to see in the wider world too in the future.
Yeah, I think that was super smart. I think you got to, because I mean, after 5 seasons of him, you're right, Megan, like defending Hell's Kitchen, and then it's like expanded. Now it's all New York. Eventually, if you want to bring this character into the whole MCU world, he needs to have some kind of adventure that takes him out of New York. It's interesting they did that so much with Spider-Man in the MCU, you know, where he was like
Yeah, a
in
little fast in my
Washington.
opinion. It was so fast they did that too. Like in the second movie, he's already in Europe. I'm like, okay, calm down. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, it's cool, but like it also sets the stage for them to be attached to other characters. Again, like referencing She-Hulk or maybe Vision or now Simon Williams. Like we know that they're on the West Coast. So if you show that, you know, there's more conflict going on everywhere and that these people might need to get involved, it's going to be an easier, I think, connection. So yeah, I think that was a really smart move to do that this season.
So my problem with bringing Daredevil into the bigger MCU, like the movies and all that, I do want it to happen. I do want to see these team ups, but I don't think Marvel can handle that themselves, because I think as soon as starts to be a cameo in movies, I think we're going to see a lot less of Daredevil Born Again. And I'm not willing to give up that show. And I'm a little too obsessed with it. So until they figure it out, till they get it together, just
Yeah.
Totally
keep
fair.
do what
I
you're
agree
doing.
with that on Wonder Man too, because I Wonder Man was so perfect,
I
and all I want
know.
is more.
I
Yeah.
know. Just leave him alone. Let him do his thing. Just don't put too much on
Yes.
the little angel.
Yeah, the little angel. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing though. Like, eventually, is it going to get to the point though where you do want to see them connect in the wider world? And like, how cool would it be to have another Avenger in Daredevil Born Again? Like, rather than just sucking him into a movie, what if they bring some of those movie characters into the show? Like, I kind of hope they do that at least a little bit for season 3.
I
I do
I think one
hope
of the
that. Yeah.
problems one
Go
of the
ahead.
problems is like comic book readers versus moviegoers, right? So like comic readers, we accept the idea that Green Arrow's doing his thing over here and Batman's doing his thing over there. Even though like they could both use each other's helps a lot, a lot, you know. But as a moviegoer, it's like not John Oliver, Oliver Queen is right there, dude. Go ask for his help. Same thing with these, you know, and it's kind of like I think we have to sort of start using our comic book brain a little bit. And it's really hard because we got spoiled by the MCU. And so they're trying to wrap a gift up that we already saw inside of. And it might be a while before we start to really embrace the idea like the X-Men could be the X-Men and they don't have to necessarily be on call for every Avengers movie. It'll be
Yeah,
tough though.
yeah, that's true. Because yeah, I mean, that's a great thing about comics. Everybody, especially if it's like really intertwined for an event, like there's always somebody doing something, but the events is what brings them all together. But they all have their own conflicts, right? They all have their own
Yes.
villains. They all have their own thing, you know. And so it's like it's true to life. Like, you know, yeah, you'd like to be there for every single friend that has to move, but sometimes you have to go to the doctors or you have to go to the dentist. You know, it's like you can't do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it makes a ton of sense. It is like, yeah, I guess important to put it in that perspective. But I don't know. I'm still, for me, after watching this finale, I am hoping that the way Spider-Man Brand New Day starts off is that there is some ATV officers that are like trying to beat up some citizens,
Yeah.
and Spider-Man like saves them in like a 1 minute montage, just so like, oh, that's what he was doing during Daredevil Born Again, you know, just to get some of that connective tissue back. But I don't know. We'll see if they'll do it.
Let's end things off with talking about our favorite moments and our least favorite moments from the season. Thomas, let's start with you. What's your favorite moment and least favorite moment from season 2?
Ooh. There was a lot of really good moments, and I do agree in an interview that what's his name, Wilson Bethel did, where he said, "I wish that this season was how we actually started season 1, especially after fans had waited 7, 8 years for it." And I agree. I think it came out so strong this season. Matt got to really like, or I guess Charlie Cox really got to put on a performance, which I really dug. I really thought man, he just is such a good Matt. And again, I think the finale to me is his best performance since rebooting the show. Like he really just gave it, yeah, so much here. Um, yeah, I think the fight scenes for me were some of my favorite fight scenes in all of Daredevil, like from Netflix till now. I know a lot of people will disagree, but I think they were amazing because we got to see a little bit more of a comic accurate Daredevil where he's using the billy clubs, he's ricocheting things, he's way more acrobatic. I love that. I think it just looks so cool. And yet he's still different than Shang-Chi or Spider-Man. So I don't know. I just thought that was really great. I think they took some really big risks this season with killing Vanessa, with killing Daniel. I think that was like some bold choices. And let's see, what's another favorite thing? And the courtroom scenes. I think they were really good. I think that they brought in real legal advisors to discuss it. There was what you call legalese in there, which is like lawyer speak. I think, my wife, as much as we can understand it as like a basic person, she kind of translated it further for me. And I was like, man, this is really like impressive. Like they did their homework. So I think all that was really, really great. I think the side of it that I didn't necessarily love was I felt like there was a lot changed in the editing room. I felt like there was the story as great as it was and as powerful as it was, I felt like it was a little disconnected from scene to scene sometimes. Like you brought up Buck, like, what happened to Buck? Where did he go?
Yeah.
We know that he got shot, but we don't see in the epilogue like where does he go? So I don't know. I think that there was a few things that felt a little disjointed to me. But again, I think this was a tremendous season. It's probably one of my favorite Daredevil seasons, even counting some of the Netflix shows. So yeah, I think it was great.
Okay, I'll go next so we can end off with Megan. I'll go with my least favorite part is the Jessica Jones powers problem because I think if you're gonna, I don't want Jessica Jones to just be cameo fuel, but the idea that she has like this power that's becoming faulty, I think if you're gonna give a problem to Jessica Jones, it should be the fact that she wants to be back home with her daughter or is missing Luke Cage, and we got a little bit of that here and there, but the idea that like also she's missing her powers, like no, make it all personal stuff. She's always been badass, just make it to where it's like personal issues with like wanting to know where Luke Cage is and making sure that he's safe, and with her daughter. I think that would have been a better way to write her character, a character I truly love. And then one of my favorite things is the fight with Daredevil and gosh dang Kingpin after Vanessa's death. When Kingpin went to go see him, because of course, like I'm sorry, when Daredevil went to go see him, because of course Kingpin's going to start attacking the city at this point, and they have this fight. I felt like the fight's motivation was not necessarily I want to beat you, but it was like I need to get the rage of Vanessa's death out of me. And I think that Matt almost went there knowing that he better put himself in the way, in harm's way, so it doesn't get out on the city. And so I felt like this is almost like a respectful moment in a weird way between these two nemesis, where he was like letting himself kind of get beaten up a little bit so that Kingpin doesn't take it out on others. And then the destruction of the painting was like just like could it have gone any worse? Like it's just like
Yeah,
that's the worst case scenario.
yeah, but that's actually one of the best explanations I heard because for me watching it, it was like at the end of it, that fight, which was an awesome fight, you're like, wait, why did Matt go there? At least this is how I was thinking about it. You again, you gave a good explanation because I'm like, why did he even go there? I'll just fight him. And then Kingpin even says, like, you can't arrest me, you can't kill me. So I was like, why
Yeah.
did Matt even go there? Like, you know what I mean? So I appreciate what you're saying because I think it does give an explanation. Like, if I get in front of this, he won't just like let the violence spread on the street or something. So I like that.
Yeah. What do you think, Megan?
So your point about Jessica Jones completely counteracts what I was going to say. So I actually think her powers are a lot more, the power problem is a lot more personal than it's realized because in her original show in the first season, her powers work if she uses them as a muscle. She has to work them out. That's why she's out gallivanting the world, picking up cars and stuff because it makes her stronger. She would be able to jump higher, fly if she practiced those muscles. She's not doing that. She's at home with her daughter because Luke is gone. Also, I want to say they have the chance to do the funniest thing right now because there were no problems with her powers after she started drinking. And I just want to say, if they tie that back to she has to be drunk to go off, that'll be hilarious.
Yes.
And that would be really, really cool.
Oh, that's Bender from Futurama is the same way where he like is fueled by booze. Please do that. That'd be great.
It's very,
Yeah.
very Always Sunny-esque. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. But I think what really stood out was the actors themselves. I think they truly have found their footing with their roles. Vincent D'Onofrio the most, and the acting was top tier. It was incredible, and I think they're cutting it off at the exact perfect spot to move away from Kingpin in the next season, even though he's in it. But like, I'll mind my business. But I think it's perfect time to put their focus on someone else because you can only do Kingpin so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been 5 seasons. I agree with you. Yeah, it's like, and Daredevil, as you know, like probably better than me. He's got a lot of great villains, so
Yeah,
maybe it's time to like highlight another one of them.
bring
Like
in
Muse could have
Typhoid
been.
Mary. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can see Typhoid Mary, and also that's a perfect segue into the mutant saga. Her being a mutant
yeah.
and her ties to, oh man, that would be so cool. Yeah, I do want Typhoid Mary. Again, I don't think what's her name? I almost call her like Sydney Sweeney, but it's not it. What's the girl who's gonna be Jean in Brand New Day? Haiti Sink.
Well, that's not.
I think
Look,
she's probably gonna be Jean.
don't do this, Thomas. Don't put.
Okay, but if
I
she
don't
is
want her to
Typhoid
be. I
Mary,
don't want her to be Jean.
okay, I hear you. But okay, let's just say if she is Typhoid Mary, her getting with Vincent D'Onofrio is gonna feel a little weird.
It will, but if she is his muscle, it would make sense. They don't
That's
have
true.
to get it on. I mean, they
But I do
could
like that part
legally,
in the Hellfire Gala where they show up together and he like tries to protect her. Oh man, that's such a good
yeah.
comment.
But I don't think they're
Yeah.
gonna make her a mutant in Marvel unless they're like she has a mutant power and it just makes her feverish because she wasn't a mutant in Iron Fist. She was just a very grounded person with a personality disorder or DID, whichever it is. I don't want to be disrespectful, but that all confuses me. But in the comics, she's basically that, but in the comics, she's unhinged and she's always really hot physically. So there's
Yeah,
that.
that's true. Yeah, she's like Marvel's Harley Quinn. So yeah, it would be
Yes.
great. Yeah. Yeah.
Marvel could
Yeah.
use that too. Let's end things off with us giving it a score out of 10. Let's say 10 New York Vigilantes. Thomas, what do you got, man? What's your 10?
Maybe a hot take. Finale for me is probably a 7 out of 10. Overall
Yeah.
season though, I'd probably have to give it probably 9 out of 10. I really liked the season as a whole. I think they crushed it. Yeah. Just the
Yeah.
finale for me just didn't like land as well as I wanted it to, or I guess as much as it does for other people, which I'm happy about. I'm happy for everybody who just loved it.
Yeah, I'm comfortably at an 8 out of 10. I think that plenty of highs. There were a couple things, maybe it was a little bit slow in the beginning, but I mean, 8 out of 10 is a very good spot to be in, I think.
Well, okay. I'm a 10 out of 10, so like good
There
for
we
you
go.
guys.
I knew it was coming. That's why I
I
was
know.
not trying to like.
No,
on it,
I don't.
But like,
Your opinion of the show does not impact me at all. You could say you hated it, and I'll just kind of judge you silently. But like, whatever, like what you like,
definitely.
like what you like, whatever. It's all you.
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
literally, so I put the review out on Threads that I had typed up, like the little, whatever version of it. And literally as we're talking, like some guy's like blocking me because of my opinion. I'm like, go for it, bro. Who cares? Like, did I really ruin your day? Come on.
I mean, I blocked someone today who said Daredevil Born Again season 2 is the worst season of Daredevil. There's bad writing, bad acting, bad everything. I could guess everything that was going to happen. And I was like, I don't think you watched it. So block.
Right.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even the worst episode or season of Daredevil Born Again. Season 1 was all over the place.
Exactly.
Easily Daredevil season 2 is the worst, but that's fine.
Yeah. But so that's ridiculous. It definitely had so many highs, and I think Scar to Pain bringing him in, it was just amazing. I don't know if he's tied to the Punisher because he did the Punisher seasons 1 and 2, I think, but this one was really good. It was dramatic. I hope how do you guys feel about the possibility of a Foggy return, or do you think he should remain a flashback?
Dead.
At this point,
just like Daniel, keep him dead. It added if you found out that Foggy was actually alive, think about all the moments in this season that was emotionally driven by the mere mention of his name. I think that would take that away. Like, I think there's a depth there that was put there because of Foggy's death, and I don't want to see that taken away. I like that dynamic.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I think Marvel learned to listen too.
I think for me, like, I just miss a Foggy-like character. And I think that's what that flashback episode showed me, where it's like, this show is so heavy. It's so violent. It's pretty dark, like that foggy episode kind of lifted the fog, lifted the dark, you know? It kind of was like, oh, remember when Matt was happy? And you get a taste of that at the beginning of this episode, where it's like a dream that Karen is having, you know? And then they actually go on the date and he's instantly arrested. I just want someone who's a little bit happier or like bring some levity. Daniel is kind of that, but then again, he's dead. So it's like it's nice to have a foggy like character for season 3.
Yeah, maybe Marvel will find him a buddy. He needs a buddy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He needs She-Hulk. She-Hulk, come over, be the buddy. That'd be perfect.
She should have been in this show. She-Hulk was very missed. Also, I want to see her meet Karen, and I also want to know. I want to know where Daredevil was at in his relationship with Karen when he went to see She-Hulk.
Yeah,
I feel like
she was in San Francisco. He's off the hook.
Oh, Thomas.
Yeah, they have a lasting impression, you know. Like
they were on a break.
That's what I'm going back to. Yeah, the Ross Rachel.
We were on a break.
All right, guys, let us know on social media, were they on a break? That's going to be the question for the week. All right, everybody. Thomas, Megan, thank you both very much for hanging out with me today and talking about Daredevil. I appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Really?
All right, everybody, we'll see you on the next one. Actually, at the next one, we're going to be at the Capital Creative Showcase. Come on by the booth if you are in the area, and we'll have live recordings from the event. We'll see you then. Bye.